Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's live show. I hope you can all hear me. I hope you can all see us. I'm joined by the wonderful Jeremy Cobb. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm super excited to get to roleplay with you. And so if chat could just give me a thumbs up that everything is working, then that will be absolutely awesome. Last week, we had some beginner issues, Jeremy, which we hopefully won't have this time around. Sound and video is good, says chat, which means we can carry on with the show. Right, Jeremy, tell us a little bit, as if nobody knows who you are. Sure. But just in case, tell us who you are and where we can find you.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Cobb. I am co-host and resident DM, really GM at this point, for the podcast Three Black Halflings. We're sort of a variety show. We do talk show episodes where we'll talk about GM and player tips. We'll talk about diversity and inclusivity in D&D and in the nerd sphere in general. We do interviews with various D&D luminaries and so forth. We've had Matt Mercer. We've had Brennan Lee Mulligan. We've had Abria Iyengar. We've had a whole bunch of folks, of interviews with various folks. And we also do actual play. We have a number of different actual play series. I highly recommend checking out our Tales of Ogadu Curse of the Spider Queen series, which is nearing its conclusion right now. And if you like that, go and check out Outlaws and Obelisks, another fun series that we did last year. We got a smorgasbord of content, and you can find that show at Three Black Halflings. That's the number 3 Black Halflings on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And you can find me, Jeremy Cobb, on Twitter at Jeremy Cobb1. That's just Cobb with 2 B's and the number 1.
There we go, and I've hopefully shared it in chat for everybody to go and find and watch this amazing content. Alrighty, now before we dive any further, just to say that all of the maps that I will be using in today's stream, and in any stream that I do for that matter, have been generated by myself in dungeonfog.com. We love Dungeon Fog. Use the code GreatGM to get a discount if you want to sign up for a subscription to Dungeon Fog. So there you go. Now you know. Dungeon Fog, and then we're using D&D Beyond as our dice roller, and of course keeping track of character sheets, etc., etc. I think that's all of that. So all that remains to be done is an introduction to Finnegan Abefele.
Yes, Finnegan Abefele is a Kender, probably average height for a Kender. So I'm thinking maybe like 3.5 feet tall, relatively average build. In fact, probably a bit I imagine him on the broad shouldered, but very thin side. So he's a very slender dude who happens to have broad shoulders. He stands up quite straight. I think he has a confident step the majority of the time. At the very least, even if he's not confident, I think he likes to try and act confident. He has slightly reddish black hair, brown skin, and his eyes are, I think, probably the most distinct physical feature that he has. His eyes are instead of being like a normal brown that you might expect with his complexion, his eyes are flecked with lots of dots of like red and orange that will become more intense according to his emotions, more or less intense along with his emotions.
There we go. And why that happens, well, that's a mystery, isn't it? Anyway, we are going to jump into this. Now, again, final piece of housekeeping before we move into the actual gameplay itself. These are one-on-one sessions that I will be running. I have already run one with Gabe, and I have 2 more after this. And then in January, we will start the full team playing together. So remember to join us for that. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. Alrighty, let's get on with it. So, young Finnegan, you have been at the Tower of the Mages of High Sorcery in an attempt to, well, become a mage, effectively. You still have, according to all of the exams and the timetables and the scheduling and things along those lines, at least another 2 years to go before you can face your final trial. Magic is about learning and understanding. However, you have been summoned to the Grand Mage's chambers, along with 4 other young acolytes who you have started to get to know over your few weeks that you have already spent here. All of you are still relatively novice-like in your experience and in your training. You head up the massive white stairs that wind their way up one of the many towers. The towers of the Mages of High Sorcery is not just a single tower. It's actually multiple towers that mushroom around one another, creating quite a cascade of little roofs and things along those lines. Always striking about the central tower is the aroma. There's a definite cleanness and ammonia almost, as if someone's desperate to keep it absolutely clean. Echoing your footsteps up and down the length of the staircase, you finally arrive at the office of the clerk who looks after the High Mage, and he looks at the lot of you, gives you a polite smile, and then says, "You may go in. The High Mage will see you."
Thank you, Your Excellency.
I'm just a clerk, not. We're not. So
thanks,
young,
Clark.
So young. In you go.
I give who I'm now convinced is named Clark a nod, and then give all of my companions just like a covert little thumbs up, just like, we got this. And stride.
They all look terrified. They have no idea why you've all been summoned. They are terrified.
Can I roll a deception check to try and appear very confident? In this
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see here. That's an 11.
An 11. There are 4 companions with you. I'm just going to roll all 4 at the same time. Oh my goodness. Well, 2 of them believe you, and they kind of buck up a little bit. 2 of them do not believe you. As you walk into...
You can see like the sweat on the back of my neck. So I'm like, walking into the room.
You head into this chamber. It is a spectacularly large chamber. There are bookshelves that line the sides of the walls on... you would describe this perhaps as being a triangular room, except that where you've entered, which is at the apex of the triangle, the walls, instead of being straight, are curved, and they curve away from you, describing this large shape, and that is lined with books left and right, and the books stack up maybe 50 feet or so. And right at the top, you can see the domed roof, which has got this beautiful stained glass mosaic of wizards of all the different colors, the different robe colors, the white robes protecting the world, the red robes kind of learning about the world, and the black robes taking from the world, but still contributing in a meaningful way, I'm sure, somehow. And then across from this is a huge circular window that looks out over the entirety of the tower and the wizard towers below you, and down into a valley where there's a small town beyond which services the tower, and then some blue mountains way off in the distance. It is a view of several miles at the very least. The window is probably 100 foot wide, giving you an idea of just how big this space is. And there is a very large, very ornate desk, sort of stood just in front of the window, and then a large chair with an equally impressive individual sitting in that chair. It is an elf who looks to be about 800 years old. Elves don't often look old. This one looks really old. And as you walk in, he gives you a weak kind of smile. Don't be afraid. Do come closer, young acolytes. You have done nothing wrong. No, nothing wrong, as a matter of fact. Who are you?
No worries, sir. We're not afraid.
Good. There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, I suppose nothing to be afraid of here. Oh, no, dear me. Yes, I suppose actually you probably should be afraid. But just not for now. Not for now, he says as he sort of raises a shaky hand. So, who are you? He says, pointing to you, Finnegan.
Finnegan Abefele. And I step forward eagerly and I didn't even describe this. I have a rather large sword. The way to describe it would probably be if you've ever seen I believe it's called an aquafele, or an aquafena, which is a West African sword, essentially like long sword. Mechanically, I'm calling it like a rapier, but I step forward. It is longer than I am tall. So as I step forward, I forget kind of to keep my hand on it to sort of have it angled. So it just like scrapes across the ground as I step forward. And then I like, oh, sorry, push it up, accidentally bump one of my companions, like, and then just shift it around to the front. And I'm just holding it like in front of me, like,
You can see this high mage leaning forward, his old eyes kind of squinting. He then weaves some magic in front of him, which creates this shimmering disc, which his head suddenly seems to become huge. And you realize it's a magnification lens that he has summoned into existence. He kind of looks at you. It has been a while since I have been down into the training academies, but I did recall swordsmanship being part of the Mages of High Sorcery. I know we're letting in pretty much anyone these days, but do you wish to explain the blade?
Absolutely, absolutely. This blade is an heirloom. I inherited it from my family, and I look at my companions like nervous to kind of expose
They are all
this.
looking. They are investigating the most amazing things everywhere else. Some of them have found that their fingernails are fingernail-like. One of them has discovered the floor is there.
Right. Well, full disclosure, Your Excellency, your magificence, your magificence. I originally applied to join the Knights of Solamnia, and was rejected.
You, huh. Right. Well, why don't you stand over there, young lady? Next.
Scrapes across the ground again, like as I walk to the other side.
He addresses the other four, and they all politely tell him who they are, and he then asks each of them what they would hope to be when they graduate and what their plans are and their aims and things like that. And they all give the kind of almost rehearsed response of, I want to, wield magic with responsibility and for the betterment of my fellow mage and people and all that kind of stuff. Would you please give me a perception check?
All right. Good old +0.
Okay, good. You are standing listening to all of this, and as they go through it, eventually he dismisses the four of them, and he looks back at you. Well, I've had a request from an old friend. He wanted me to send him someone who was showing a little initiative, I guess you might say.
Yes, absolutely, sir. I show nothing but initiative. That's me. That's my middle name. Not literally, but you can imagine.
Well, you're certainly different. And that is close enough in my book. Heaven knows, I'd rather send someone that we don't need. I mean, I'd rather send someone that is of your caliber.
Ah.
Right. Now, Considering that this may be slightly, dangerous, if you, return, and I get a favorable report from my friend, and by favorable I mean you were proven useful in some capacity, preferably use of magic, but these days, who knows, we're pretty desperate. Yes. Then that will count as you having faced your trials and you'll graduate.
I could graduate. Would this be graduating early?
Well, yes, I suppose it would be, but I wouldn't count it as a blessing, more of a curse, as a matter of fact. I have to be absolutely honest with you. There are things happening in Ansalon, dark things that are happening, and it looks as if we're going to need as many frontline enthusiastic individuals as we can muster, or at least certainly that we're willing to put on the front lines. And so we are using an express program. You're very express.
Am I the first express candidate?
Yes.
I knew I was doing something right. I would like to drop to one knee, dramatically draw my sword, and then present it to the mage, head bowed, and say, I hereby pledge to you my sword and my life and all of my initiative. I promise that I will accomplish this task that you have set out for me. If it costs me my entire life, I will join this war. I will help.
Go ahead and give me an insight check.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
so,
boy.
Head bowed. It makes sense. You don't see his face. As you give this impassioned speech, there's a moment's pause, and then suddenly the blade lifts from your hands. And he says, look up, my valiant wizard.
I look up, eyes glistening with tears right now. Like, just...
Your blade is being held aloft by Mage Hand. And the mage he's standing. That hasn't changed his height very much because he's kind of hunched over with age. And he waves his hand and he says, I am greatly moved by your loyalty and your oath. I consider it a gift of extreme magnitude. I don't tell anybody else what I'm about to do. He waves his hand, describing these rather intricate symbols in the air, and as his fingers start to repeat the shape, little bits of magic start to coalesce around the shapes. And once this rather complex word is written out, he then sort of just gently pushes it, and it just moves towards your blade. And then as it hits the blade, there's this sort of flaring of light and the sudden smell of metal and boiling water fills your senses. And then inscribed on the blade is this word. I hope that this will help you to fulfill that oath of yours. Not to the death, mind you, to preventing that from happening. I think you might be just the sort that we need specifically. Now, do you have any affairs that you need to resolve here in the campus, or are you ready to depart? Only he said it was rather urgent.
No, I have been devoted entirely to my studies, by which Finnegan means that he has felt really. He's been hit with a lot of imposter syndrome since he's been here and has been too shy to actually make any friends. So he's essentially just like, I can start as soon as you need me. Still like kind of choked up at this point at the honor that he's been given. This is some of the first real validation he's had since he's been at the with the mages.
Right. Well, then I will send you immediately. You haven't had much time to learn very much, but if I can give you one piece of parting advice, use your enthusiasm to drive your thinking process rather than your acting process. Reserve action for thought first. And keep your head down. And, what else do they say in a time like this? I never really had much care for those Knights of Solemnia after what they did in the Cataclysm, but, wear dry underwear. And as he says that, he just sort of pulls apart reality, and the whole sort of space around you just distorts for a moment. And then there's a very faint pop. And suddenly the world that you are in is incredibly hot. It is bakingly hot. There is this strong smell of sulfur and brimstone. The space is dark. The window has completely vanished. And now all that you are seeing are bars. And you realize why you're seeing bars. And that's because you are currently hanging in a cage, suspended above a rather large outcropping of rock, surrounded by a river of liquid magma. Shh, 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 shh. You hear coming from several cages nearby.
What is going on? Can I look at the cages to see like who's shushing me?
So the cage you're in would be best described as a super reinforced gibbet. So it's one of those sort of suspended cages which normally would be too small for you to lie down in. Even for you, it would be awfully cramped in here. On the other side of you, you can see that there is a woman in her early 40s or maybe 50s, human by the looks of things, wearing armor that is very much from the Knights of Solemnia. It looks rather badly damaged at the moment. She looks slightly wounded herself. And then in another cage, there is a man who looks to perhaps be a mage of the white robes. You can see he's got a white robe on, or at least a white cowl on. He looks a little bit like Salvador Dali, with a very curled moustache, except that his is completely grey. He's definitely a human. He does look as if he's in his 70s. And he's the one who's currently shushing you.
You're the great mage that they sent us?
Yes, I was sent here to help. Are you the one I was sent to help?
Yes. Havlin sent you?
Yes, he said that I have initiative, and I'm part of the Express program.
Oh, dear. The Express program. What the hell's the Express program?
It's new. They're saying because they need more people on the front lines, I'm perfect for the front lines. And so they're fast tracking me through the academy. If I can help you, and I promise you, I will prove useful. In fact, the mage gifted me with an inscription. And I hold up the blade. I'm so proud of this word. I haven't even read it. I'm so proud of it. I hold it up and show it with a huge grin.
All right. Well, that's great. So, get us out of here. And don't wake him up.
Who's him?
Points. You kind of follow his view, and you can see slightly to the northeast of you, along a promontory of rock that connects this little island that you're suspended above to the main kind of cave, is a slumbering draconian sitting in front of a roasted cave rat or something that's sitting above a fire, gently cooking away. Your eyes are now starting to accustamize to this dim light, and you realize you are definitely in a cave, a rock chamber of some kind. And as you look around, you think you might be able to see some kind of exit to the northwest and possibly to the southwest. Otherwise, yes, you're just hanging in these cages. The chains lead from the cage up to the ceiling, where they then feed through a hoop, and that leads them down again to ground floor on the other side of the magma to 3 different locations, where it looks as if they've basically just been locked in place against some rather crude divots that have been set into the wall.
Okay. So, I think the first thing that I will try, looking at all of this, I will look at the cages. Do the cages have doors on them, I assume?
They do, yes. It looks like the way that you are loaded into these cages is that they would be lowered down by the chain to ground level, and then you'd be ushered in, and then they would be closed, and you'd be lifted back up again. So you are 5 feet suspended above the ground.
Okay. And are there like latches on them, or are there like padlocks?
So it looks as if there are very crude padlocks that have been used. The linchpin that's holding the cage to the chain is literally just a pin. You suspect what is holding it in place is the actual weight of the cage is kind of pulling on the chain, so it creates a seal.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got a few ideas. And I even say that out loud. I say, okay, I got a few ideas. First things first, I'm going to refer to my flashcards and be okay. No, not minor illusion.
What are you doing?
Yeah, just a second. And I like read through the different things and like go through my very practiced hand motions and words as I cast Mage Hand. And I think the Mage Hand at this point is kind of like anemic. It just does not, it looks like a very thin, spindly hand. And I'm like, oh, I got all 4 fingers this time. And it's got like 4 fingers and half a thumb. And then I'd like to direct it like just like veins standing out on the sides of my head as I'm just like directing it over to the elderly man's cage. And I would like to try and use these spindly fingers of this to pick the lock.
All right. Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand check as your bizarre hand kind of drifts out. Okay. Well, 17 is good. 17 is good. So you are fumbling around with this hand. You realize this is it's a basic lock. And with the fingers of the mage hand being able to be inserted, you can roll it around, and then you sort of feel very easily the little locking pin. And if you just lift that up with the mage hand, the whole lock drops open.
Visibly
Great.
Sweating.
He starts he reaches through and he sort of pulls the lock very quietly. He's trying to do it quietly anyway, as he lifts this lock. And he does so very, very quietly. He doesn't drop it. He takes it inside and he puts it kind of into a pouch. Backlund next.
Is he motioning to the woman?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to like and just move it like across again very slowly, just like
I see one finger kind of flickering in and out of existence as the concentration is changing.
Like, no, not again. Come on.
Four fingers.
Yeah, should I make another?
Yeah, sleight of hand check, absolutely.
Okay, let's see.
It's a doozy. You've got this. This spell is yours. You pop up the little latch. You can see she is not as healthy as she would like to be. She just gently grabs it as well. And oh boy, she drops the lock by accident. You can see she's fumbling her gauntleted hands. She's trying to open the lock. She actually drops it. It's falling to the floor.
Can I try to grab it with my mage hand? Can I just like
acrobatics?
Okay.
As you
Out of
try and
desperation.
grab this.
Oh no.
Your hand is kind of plunging down, and as it's plunging down, fingers are just popping out of existence until eventually this palm just kind of touches the lock and it sort of drops to the ground quite heavily.
No.
There is oh my goodness. Okay, these guys are great. So the guard does not wake up. He kind of grunts and rolls slightly, moving himself closer to the fire because apparently it's not hot enough in this magma-filled cave. And so he just, unwinds a little bit. Ispin looks at Becklin. She nods at him. He looks back at you.
Can you assassinate the guard from here? There are others in this cavern. If they hear any kind of alarm, we're done for.
Okay, I'm on it. And I start looking through my cards. I'm like, okay, mage hand. We already tried that. Minor illusion. No, we definitely have tried that. The things aren't solid. The next one, prestidigitation. Still can't pronounce that. Not quite sure what it's for. Detect magic. I don't think that would kill him. Protection from me. Well, that could shield sleep. He's already asleep. And finally, I'm like, and I find one. I'm like, okay, just sit tight. This is gonna take a little bit. And I begin like reading and taking like things out of my component pouch and just like it very painstakingly performing this ritual. I have a bit of string and a little bit of wood that I'm just like, okay, like tying together as I spend the next 10 minutes casting Unseen Servant as a ritual.
Both Ispin and Becklin are just watching in avid fascination. And after 10 minutes, your servant flickers into existence. What does your servant look like?
Well, I it's unseen, but I imagine that it looks like somebody much taller than me dressed as a butler.
All right, lovely. It is indeed unseen. You are quite right. So yes, this unseen butler appears. Where?
I would like, let's see, I'm just going to have it like it'll appear, I think, in front of me, and then I'll look and say, you know what to do, and then send. I imagine that I've named my unseen servant Forthwit, and I'm like, you know what to do, Forthwit. And I point at the guard, and I'm going to have Forthwit go over and see if the guard has any poison or any unknown liquids that we can try and pour down their gullet while they're asleep.
Okay. Forthwit shuffles over to the guard and looks around, looks left, looks right, and then drifts back to you. You can communicate with your unseen servant. Is it telepathic?
I can mentally command it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you said butler, so it drifts back and it says, well, sir, I notice that the incumbent does indeed have several bottles of what appear to be dwarvish brandy nearby. Some of them may have been drunk. I regret to inform you, however, sir, that there is no ice.
These barbarians.
Indeed, sir. Perhaps I might be able to find some somewhere.
Yes. Could you? Well, no, the ice. It's not for us. We need to try and assassinate the guard. And I thought maybe you would know because all the stories I've read, it's always the butler that did it.
Regrettably, sir, I failed to attend that particular training for butlers. But if you would like, I could possibly give him a withering, judgmental look from across the room, and I could show him to the door, sir.
Okay, we'll keep that in reserve. We'll keep that in reserve.
Very good, sir.
Here's a thought. How are you with lava?
I will clear lava if there is lava being spilt, sir.
Well, what if does he have any sort of like stone bowls?
I do recall seeing I would call it a bucket, sir.
Okay. What I need you to do is take the bucket and then gently press it onto the magma just to see if the bucket can withstand it. If it can, scoop up the magma, bring it back, and pour it over the guard. If it can't, that's okay. Just leave the bucket in there for a moment, then come back and press that on the guard.
I understand, sir. You wish him to have a hot bath.
Yes, very, very hot. And you are an expert at drawing baths.
That is correct, sir. Although, regrettably, we are out of towels.
It's okay. The grave shall serve as his towel. Oh, did you hear that, Forthwit? So that was some grim stuff I just said.
He doesn't appear to catch the joke as he drifts off to go and get the bucket. Ispin looks at you.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm trying to assassinate the guard.
Becklin, I beg your pardon. Becklin looks at you. Have you done this before?
No, I've never killed anyone.
She looks at Ispin and she says, why the hell did Havlin send him?
In my defense, I'm a real go-getter.
Meanwhile, there is a bucket quietly drifting towards the nearest pool of magma. And very shakily, the bucket is dipped into the magma and held for a while. You notice that it smolders and whatever was inside it definitely burns off. But the bucket seems to hold, at least for now anyway. It is a steel bucket by the looks of things. When it is withdrawn from the magma, it does contain some magma, which immediately starts to darken. But the side of the metal bucket that was submerged is glowing red hot.
I'm going to mentally tell Forthwit, hurry, press it over his face.
The unseen servant, well, with the seen bucket, drifts over towards the guard. Let me just make one little check for the guard. No, he remains sleeping as this liquid hot bucket comes over towards him. As a matter of fact, he seems to warm to the idea of the sudden increase in heat until the lava is poured over his head. At which point he promptly takes a significant amount of damage. You can roll for me 5d10, please.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Okay.
that is the damage you take, by the way, if you step into magma for one round, which may not be enough, I don't think, but it's what happens.
Okay, 5d10s.
Yes, indeed.
That's 20.
So this liquid hot lava is poured all over the guard's head, and you can hear the butler saying, I can make it hotter for you, sir, if you would prefer, or we could make it cooler. You nearly have to say the word. The guard, unfortunately, was about to scream, and all that did was gave him a mouthful of lava.
Oh, no.
There is a sizzling, crackling sound, and a decided aroma of roast turkey fills the room, just very, very briefly before it becomes grizzled, burnt turkey that fills the room. But the guard seems to be quite very much dead. He is unmoving.
I turn to the old man. Can you say the old man and the woman's names again?
It's Ispin is the old man, and
Okay.
Becklin is the woman.
Okay. I turn to Ispin and I say, consider him assassinated.
Ispin, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Right.
So he then promptly opens his cage and jumps down. He goes over and he helps Becklin kind of climb down. You can see she sort of winces as she gets down. She's got a wound to her side. He then looks at you.
I'm not entirely sure on the protocol. Is it appropriate for me to lift you down?
That would be very nice. I've never done this before, but I do respect. I think I'm here to help you. So with all due respect, perhaps I should lift myself down.
He stands back.
Now I have not unlocked my cage, right?
No.
Okay. Can I have Forthwit come back and try and unlock it for me? Oh wait, I'll say Forthwit. I'm still whispering in my mind. Forthwit. Does the guard have any keys?
He does, sir.
Could you please bring the keys over here and see if any of them work on my cage?
The keys drift over to your cage, are inserted one at a time, and there is a faint click as one of them unlocks the cage.
I'm like, thank you so much, Forthwit. I couldn't have done it without you. And I step and then sort of I take the padlock and then I sort of climb out and hop down onto the ground and stand next to. I imagine Forthwit is standing next to me, but no one can see him. But I'm standing up very straight and chest out, looking at Ispin. Like, where to next?
Well, that depends on you. So, it seems Havlin has sent us someone who is certainly interesting. Thank you for getting us out of those cages.
The word he used was different.
Oh, that sounds more appropriate and more like Havlin, as a matter of fact. Oh, nonetheless, you're here now, and that's the important thing. So, through that door,
and he indicates this door here, which I'll ping on the map for you. You can vaguely see it in the dark.
That's where they took our companion, Cudgel. She will probably give them quite a fight, but I don't want her to be left too long with these creatures. Alternatively, I suppose we could just make for the surface. That would be here in the south.
Across the magma?
Well, I assume there must be a way across somehow, or you could use your magic to get us across.
Right, okay. Now, like, oh boy, more factors. He's like, all right, the way I see it, no mages left behind. You said her name was Cudgel?
As he's about to say something, Becklin steps forward and she says, before he lies to you, we should tell you, Cudgel is not a mage. Cudgel is a warrior. As a matter of fact, so am I. I don't think you necessarily know what's going on here.
That
what
is
do you
correct.
think is happening?
I think that you all are being kept in cages by nefarious forces, and I have been sent here to free you.
Okay, so you do know what's happening. Well, that's a plus side.
Okay.
The downside is that we are currently in a rather obscure mountain range, surrounded by about 1,000 draconian troops. Do you know what draconians are?
Can I roll a history check to see, like, in all of my studies, have I absorbed what the knowledge of what a draconian is?
You can indeed. Give me a history check.
Okay. Gotta be kidding me with this.
It never came up. But having seen the one lying next to the fire, they kind of look like Dragonborn, only Dragonborn have a more majestic feel about them. These look more almost disfigured or crude imitations of Dragonborn.
Upon seeing this, can I walk over and sort of look at this person that I basically instinctively like, okay, we gotta kill him. And now I think it's dawning on me that like, oh, I killed a person. I in forthwith murdered a person. I may not have been the one who poured the lava, but I gave the order. I'd like to go over and like examine this person and just see like what their deal is, I guess.
As you start, I'm assuming you're walking on the stone causeway between the
Yes.
island. Yes. Unfortunately, as you step forward, there is a snapping sound very briefly, and you discover that you have just stepped into a trap, which has been rather crudely placed here. These spikes just burst out of the ground up towards your feet. I need you to give me a dexterity saving throw, if you please.
Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
Got a good roll.
Do you roll towards the crispy draconian or away from the crispy draconian?
I'm rolling toward the crispy
All
draconian.
right, perfect. So you roll towards. You do unfortunately take some stabbing damage. Okay, great. You take 1 whole point of stabbing damage, piercing damage, as the spikes reach up towards you.
I jump up and down, holding onto my boot, just go, ooh, 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 ha, 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 and then like gingerly walk, and then I turn and straight up again and say, ha, ha, give the double thumbs up, and walk back to the draconian.
All right. You get over to the draconian, no problem. Becklin and Ispin will follow carefully behind you. What are you hoping to find?
I guess there isn't much of a face left. I was like, I want to look
the
into
whole
his
top
eyes.
half. The whole top half has turned to stone, but this is something curious as well. Is the rest of the body appears to have turned to stone. A different type of stone. The lava has turned solid black as the basalt is starting to congeal and harden. But the rest of the creature definitely has turned into stone, or something resembling it, or maybe perhaps compressed ash would be a better way of describing it.
Can I gingerly poke it with a finger, like press on it?
Absolutely. As you do, the whole thing just turns to dust and crumbles and releases this rather putrid green gas. Unfortunately, I need a constitution saving throw from you.
Oh, no.
It smells like the dorm room after the obligatory sports events that you were forced to participate in at the academy on the idea of keeping wizards healthy. But other than that, you don't seem to have any ill effects.
Okay. I'm like, did all of the person's gear also dissolve?
Yes, unfortunately. Although there was a short sword and a cleaver that have been left nearby. I'll zoom in here on the map for you to just get a gander at what was left behind.
Okay. Can I hand out the short sword and the cleaver to my companions, to Ispin and Becklin?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So Ispin kind of hefts the cleaver and hands the short sword over to Ispin. He nods. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So after that, I take out my notes on Unseen Servant again, and I don't think that it can pass through things. Let me see. It's invisible, mindless, and shapeless. Unoccupied space on the ground within range. Range is 60 feet. Yeah, I don't know. You tell me. If I were to try and have the servant, if I were to have the servant try and pass through the door, would that be a possibility? Or pass underneath the door? Like if I were to tell
The-
Forthwit to try and squeeze himself underneath the door, would that be an option?
Sure. So you head on over to the door. This door is quite ornate. There is a dragon leering down over this doorway, carved out of the stonework. It's crude, but distinctly reminds you of a red dragon in its majesty and the spikes and horns and things coming off of it. The door itself is made out of some kind of black stone that's been crudely socketed together with very, very rough metalwork. There's quite a large gap underneath it. And yes, you could send your unseen servant through it.
Okay.
The problem is the moment you lose sight of the unseen servant is you lose connection with the unseen servant as well.
Okay. Then I think there's a moment where I'm starting to consider this, and then I see the dragon, and I think Finnegan just stares rapt at the dragon for several seconds, unmoving, not saying anything, before suddenly turning to everyone else and say, I apologies. Thinks to himself, okay. Sit tight. This could take a second, but I think it's going to pay off.
Becky steps forward and she says, before you endanger yourself on our behalf, please note that you are under no compulsion to do so. Whatever Havlin has told you, you have already provided us with enough assistance. So please do not jeopardize yourself. If I might do something on your behalf, let me take the risk.
I step forward and look into her eyes and I say, ma'am, I appreciate you saying so, but this is my responsibility, and I refuse to stand by while innocence or my charges are put at risk. So please,
you haven't met Cudgel yet. She's not exactly innocent. But sentiment aside, Becklin, let the man do his work.
Yeah. I nod, and then I look through my notes and I say, yes, okay. And I have like all this stuff underlined on this one because I had initially completely misunderstood what this spell was supposed to do. I initially thought that this spell was to help you find friends or anyone that you knew in a location. But after several mishaps, I have now realized that it does something much, much better than that. And I'm going to cast Find Familiar as a ritual. Wait, can I cast that as a ritual? Yes, it is. Yeah. I'm going to cast that as a ritual. And I'm going to take out all my ingredients. And for the next hour, I will be like reading through the notes, like muttering all the incantations, arranging all of the different like offerings and components in the places where they need to be. And I will summon a familiar. My familiar will take the form of a Draco lizard. Are you familiar with a Draco lizard?
Explain it to me or describe it.
They're about, I believe they get 7 to 9 inches long, or 20 centimeters. They are a real life lizard that can glide. They have membranes that can be extended from their sides that are formed by a large set of ribs, and they can glide using their rib. They're called patagia. Using their patagia, they can glide. And
South America, I'm assuming.
Yes, I believe so. Let me see. Actually, I didn't even look up where they are. Oh no, they're Southeast Asia or Eastern Asia. Yeah, they're Asian and Southeast Asia. Yeah, it looks like they're in southern India as well as farther to the east. So I will summon one. He will look like he will have green and black coloration, and then when he extends his patagia, they will be like red and black. His flying membranes. And as I summon him, I will look into his eyes and lock eyes with him very seriously and say, I hereby christen you Aburo.
This little lizard, which is not to scale in the token size, looks at you with big eyes, which blink twice. It can communicate with you telepathically, correct?
Yes.
Aburo kind of nods his head.
Aburo, I say this part out loud. I say, Aburo, I need you to do something that could be very dangerous. I need you to go through, like, underneath that door and then explore. And I'm going to be looking through your eyes. And as soon as you get more than 100 feet away, come back. Is that okay with you?
Looks at you with his large eyes and then very, very specifically licks his one eye and then licks his other eye and then scurries off down onto the ground and disappears underneath the doorway.
Okay, I'm going to then turn to my charges and give another thumbs up and say, we're all good. And as I say that, my eyes turn like really draconic as I suddenly am seeing through his eyes. Like they look incredibly lizard-like as I'm seeing through Aburo's eyes and hearing through his ears. I believe I can see. I think I can see through his senses. Yeah. So I basically am like transfer my senses to him. What is he seeing as he's scurrying down this area?
Sure. Well, your world just suddenly kind of expands out in front of you, and everything is so much bigger. In one sense, doors just tower above you. The gaps underneath are easily walked through, almost highways in comparison previously. And so as Aburo disappears, I'm going to give him sight quickly, and then you will see what he is seeing. So initially, he's in a very long corridor, which you scurry over. The floor is exactly the same as the first floor, and there is another door on the other side of exactly the same design, although this one is in slightly better condition. You're not sure. He then scurries underneath that, and that reveals quite a different scene. There is a large chamber on the other side, but he can only see so far with his particular type of vision. You can see that there is a rather rotund dwarf female currently being held in place by two more of those draconian creatures as she's being guided towards a platform which stretches out over a whirlpool of magma. She is resisting, but the guards have the advantage over her. She is unarmed, and they are clearly stronger than she is. You hear, through Aburu's tympanic membranes, you hear this chanting that's happening. It's a sort of a very guttural kind of chanting.
Okay.
Do you speak Draconic?
No, I do not.
All right. Then you are simply hearing Grach Varar Vorbach Barach Sach.
Okay, then I'm going to, without removing my senses, which is kind of weird because I can't really hear myself, I guess.
Right.
But I'm going to turn to my charges and I'm going to say, is Cudgel a rotund dwarf?
You hear a snort and then a cough as Ispin is choking on the cave rat that he had sat down to start eating. Becklin is smiling and she says, if we survive this cavern, I would advise that you never call Cudgel rotund while she can hear you. But
Duly noted.
If one were to describe her, I think that is a pretty appropriate word. Yes. Is she all right?
She's being pushed towards a platform on magma by two draconians who are chanting in a language I don't understand. It doesn't look good.
Oh, Ispin says as he chucks the piece of cave rat leg away. It's a sacrifice. I should have known they would have used her first. More body for their buck, I guess. All right. Well, you certainly have proven yourself to be useful, young Kender, but this is where Becklin and I will have to step in. It's going to be too dangerous for you any further. So if you just hang back
we'll sort out this problem.
I do not wish to be insubordinate, but I do feel as though I have to stress it is important that I am there so that I can assist you. It's my job to try and help you in any way that I can.
Well, you certainly are persistent. Perhaps that's what Havlin saw in you. Very well. Just try not to get yourself killed. It would be unfortunate.
I'll do my best. And can I was the area that that Aburo passed through, was that like a hallway with other doors that we could see?
No, it seemed to be quite a short corridor, although difficult to tell from his perspective, but it didn't seem to be very long, more like a joining corridor between this chamber and the next.
Great. I would like to run forward, lock eyes with the red dragon for a moment, grimace, and then grab the door and throw it open as I draw my sword to charge across to the other side.
All right. Well, the door is heavy and definitely it was not locked. They did not anticipate this. You rush into the little corridor in between. Becklin and Ispin run up next to you as well. Do you break your connection with Aburo now?
I think I would keep it. No, I would probably break it so that I can see. So I would break it, and then just keep. And I, unfortunately, I just realized a fourth wit would have already left because he only lasts for an hour. It took me an hour to summon a Burrow, so it's just me. It's just me, Ispin, and Becklin charging in to help a Burrow and Cudgel.
Perfect. Okay. Well, they burst in, and as they do, you go running in as well. And this is what you see now. There is a gigantic dragon statue that has been carved out of the very rock on the other side of this large channel of lava or magma, since it's underground. And in front of that, there is a dragonborn reading from a book on a pedestal that has been carved with dragons sort of swirling around it. He is the one that has actually been chanting, or she. It's difficult to tell when everything is scaled over and then covered in robes. And then you see the dwarf being now, at this point, the dwarf is now on the actual platform, sort of teetering on the edge, and you can see the true dragonborn. One of them has got a spear and is kind of prodding Becklin as much as they can. With that, I'm going to ask you to roll initiative.
All right. Hey, we got a decent roll.
Nice. So we can start up the combat. You are actually acting first. What are you doing?
Okay, so my attention is like, first I'm like, we gotta go save Kudja, and then I see like the huge dragon. I'm like, oh. And then I, beneath that, see the Dragonborn reading from the book, and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, and I'm like deciding, who am I closest to? Which of the enemies am I closest to? Is it the two that are?
Yeah, it would definitely be the two that are on the platform trying to sacrifice Cudgel.
Okay, then I would like to run forward, and they're standing like right on the edge, right?
One of them is right on the edge. One of them is standing, still on the edge. They're both within 5 feet of the edge.
Okay, I would like to, the one that is closest to Cudgel, I would like to run forward. Yes. I would like to run forward and shout, "Have at thee!" Jump, and with both legs try and shove, like basically jump in the air and do a double kick and try and shove them into the lava.
Make an unarmed attack, if you please.
Okay.
Unless you have martial arts.
I have a +1 to
You got this. You got this.
Here we go.
50-pound Kender flies through the air at a 200-pound draconian.
Well, here's my question. Does a Burrow, because I know technically a Burrow is supposed to roll their own initiative. Should we roll initiative for a Burrow? Because can't a Burrow give me the help action on things?
I think so he could certainly give you the help action on certain things.
Okay.
But a glider lizard launching itself at the draconian is adding a couple ounces of extra weight to the equation. So I'm going to say that he's going to give you a +2 to your roll.
Okay.
Because you can direct a burrow to glide onto the draconian's face.
Yeah, that's basically what I want is to have the guy go like, yeah, and have the have like a little lizard just on their face.
Yeah.
And then I run forward like, have at thee, and I jump,
sail through the air.
Hey, with a
And
+2 is a 16.
You actually hit.
Yes.
Brilliant. All right, so you slam into this draconian. Go ahead. You don't have any unarmed combat feats or anything like that, right?
Nope. I'm just trying to use a shove attack to shove them into the
All
lava.
right, absolutely. Okay, so you have advantage on your strength check here, please. It's straight up. It's a athletics check, basically. I'm not a huge fan of that, but
all right. Let's see. I have a -1 to athletics, but I have advantage.
You do.
I will
slam
roll
into him.
twice. Whoa! Okay, first one's already looking good.
Yeah.
Second one, that was almost a 20.
Almost. But we take the first one with a 17. He is pushed back 5 feet, and that throws him into the lava, which allows you to very quickly roll 5d10 for me as he starts screaming in pain as he is set on fire.
Okay, so that's going to be 30 points.
30 points.
Damage.
Oh, he burns up, and there's a moment where you just watch as his corpse, which is still on fire, just goes around in circles until eventually it disappears into the central whirlpool.
Oh no, there's a whirlpool.
There's a whirlpool.
I think Finnegan, at having actually physically killed someone, just goes, ha. Just and doesn't even like it, just lying prone on the ground, just transfixed at the whirlpool of lava that he just like ended a person's life by kicking them into.
Yeah, I mean, so far you've poured lava onto someone, and now you've kicked someone into lava. So I think it's pretty good. I'm not sure there's many other ways that you could actually kill someone with lava. Right, so that is what you have done. Becklin is up next, and Becklin simply rushes forward to this draconian here, and she makes her attack with that short sword. Unfortunately, the draconian is now aware of her presence, fends her off. So where is this draconian here? I must just deal damage to him quickly, so he takes 30 damage. He's out. Right, that brings us to the next character, which is the next draconian. And that is this one here. There is you lying prone. He's just watched you drop kick his buddy into the lava. And so he is going to try and attack you. He swings that spear at you and completely misses. But for some unknown reason, he has 2 attacks. And so he tries to stab at you again. And this time, I think it's going to connect. He hits an armor class of 19.
Even with shield, that would hit me.
All right. He stabs at you this crude spear for 7 impaling damage. It's piercing damage. He just drives that in deep. You clearly have killed someone of importance to this draconian. Not happy at all.
This is so bad. Can we say that he like pierced me through the shoulder and like stabbed so hard it pinned into the ground where I'm just like,
Love it. Absolutely love it. Ispin is next, and Ispin is not taking any chances. He dashes over here, and Ispin, there we go. There's Ispin. Ispin throws out some magic at the draconian who is reading from the book. Gets a direct hit and just burns that draconian for 26 damage.
Whoa.
That's his action because he can only do that at the moment. Next up is the actual draconian at this lectern.
The reading one.
Sees what Ispin has done and reciprocates by hurling nothing at anyone. He kind of points out this clawed hand, hissing something in a language you don't speak, and this arc of lightning tries to come out towards Ispin, But Ispin sort of raises up his hand. This shimmering shield appears in front of him. The lightning slams into the shield, bounces off, and disappears into the lava. That's what happens there. Cudgel, the dwarf, she is very unhappy with things. She charges over you and tries to attack this draconian who has stabbed you. She is going to make an unarmed attack. So, dirty 20.
Hey.
That is what happens when we get a 20. So that goes off, and she just slams straight into him, and she is going to deal a whole 1d4 damage. +2. So she does 6 damage to the draconian who had stabbed you earlier.
Did she crit, though?
Oh, that's right. She did. So it's actually 2d4. Well done reminding me on that one. So it's 4 + 3 is 7, 8, 9 damage. Much better. Much better. So he takes 9 damage. And that then brings us to this next figure. So running from the darkness and further up the cave, there is another draconian who was looking at some damage. He is now going to join the party.
Oh boy.
I did not enable it. Why did I not enable it for this map? Give me a second. I think it's too late now. Yep. Okay. So he is going to run 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. That gets him there. He dashes over to Ispin. That's his full move. And then takes us to the top of the round. Finnegan, you're up next. You are prone with a spear in your shoulder, although that is not going to actually hinder you.
Right. I think am like having a moment of panic. How is the one that is because another one just showed up and now I'm like, and I just got stabbed, which is probably again the first time that I've been stabbed. Is there a way for me to like because I think I'm swinging my sword. Is there like a way for me to try and activate the magic word that the mage put on?
For sure. Do you speak Elvish?
No, I do not.
You're like, oh no, this is Elvish.
Can I sound it out?
Go ahead and give me an intelligence check.
Okay.
As you try and you're like,
gotta be kidding me.
Ram you.
Yeah. To your fleece be true. That can't be right.
What? So yes, unfortunately, you got the magic, but you don't know how to activate it.
Then I'll just look at the sword, look at the draconian, and be like, oh, if I had words, and like I'm going to stand up and stab with my rapier at this person.
Make your attack.
Hey!
Lovely. Yes, you hit him.
Okay.
You stab through underneath the chainmail that he's wearing, the crude chainmail, and deal nice damage. Not amazing, but nice. So 6 points damage. That causes, as you pull the blade out, oops, wrong character. Sorry. So as you pull the blade out, 6 damage. He looks very unhappy. As a matter of fact, he is bleeding very, very heavily.
Okay, then I think at seeing this, I will shout, I will look and shout, to arms! The battle is nearly ours! And stand like bleeding and like terrified inside, but also exhilarated by the successes that I've had so far. With 1 HP, I should say.
Yes.
Very much with 1 HP.
So Becklin is standing next to, she's standing opposite you, as a matter of fact. Sorry, you should have had advantage on that roll, by the way, because she was standing directly opposite him. But nonetheless, you inflicted damage. So she hears your cry and she says, "Are you a mage or a knight?"
Yes!
As you say that, she tries to attack this guy. And so she makes her attack. I think I used the wrong attack last time for her. Anyway, she swings this cleaver of hers and crunches into the back of the Draconian. She has advantage, actually, so let me just roll that just in case. Nope, so she crunches into the back of him, and she deals cleaver damage, so that would be 1d4. Oh, no, that was a d6. It's supposed to be a d4. 1d4, because it's a dagger, plus her strength, so 7 points of damage. She cuts this guy deeply, and you hear a decided crunch, taking almost straight back to being in a butcher shop once, as the Draconian just crumbles in front of you, dropping to his knees, his little dark eyes glaring at you before he keels over to the side. That happens there. Ispin is looking across the water at that mage, and so he will throw out another attack of energy at this guy. That is a 13, and this time the exchange misses. So Ispin will then do it again, because he can do it twice this round. He then hits and deals very low damage. No, well, oh, it's 10. Sorry, I thought it was ones. Very high damage, 26 points of damage to this mage, who then also drops like a stone to the ground. And that puts Cudgel up next. She doesn't stop. She continues up this way. She attacks desperately with just her fists. She doesn't have anything else to attack with, but she's angry. She hits, and so she deals her damage. So half of 3 is 2 plus... Oh, I don't know why I'm rolling that. 2 plus 2 is 4. So she deals 4 to this guy. And then she tries to hit him again. This will be more entertaining when there are more players, I swear. It's not just me playing D&D with myself and Jeremy.
I'm just like, yes, get them! Ha! Yeah! Oh!
Sadly, she misses on that one. It is the
You'll
Draconian
get him next time!
The Draconian is standing in front of her and standing next to Ispin, sees that everybody else has dropped, and so this Draconian is smart enough to throw its hands up and drop to its knees, and in very broken common it says, "Surrender." That's what it yells. Mm-hmm. Finnegan, I need you to give me a perception check, please.
Okay, here we go. Perception check. It's a nat 20, baby!
Oh, yeah. That is what we like to see. And with that natural 20, the Draconian that was dropped by whoever's attack it was, the one that's right in front of you, and I'm going to bring his token back. He's not active, he is dead, just so that you know. That'll be black. That Draconian has turned into that same ash and looks as if it's about to crumble. What are you doing?
I'm going to look at everyone and say, stay away! They crumble and they release a noxious fume. Get away from this one! The gap of lava between our area of rock and then the area of rock that the spell casting Dragonborn was on.
Right, so I will also just indicate that he is dead by making him black. So 5, 10, 15 gets you to the edge. Yes. And then it's a 5-foot leap across to the other side.
Then I would like to take like a little 5-foot back head start and then just and just jump to the other side and see if I can grab the book and anything else that this person may have had.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so what is your strength?
My strength is 8.
8. All right. You leap across the 5-foot gap, desperately hoping not to land in the lava. But you land right at the edge, which is kind of crumbly. So I need you to give me a dexterity saving throw, please, as you kind of scrabble desperately.
Okay, that's a 12.
A
This
12?
could be it. Yeah.
That's okay. A 12 is just enough. I don't know why it didn't come up on the D&D Beyond, but that's okay. Maybe mine's gone to sleep or something. Yeah. With a 12, you kind of claw your way up over the edge. If you had been a regular-sized human, your feet would have landed in the lava.
Ooh.
But because of your height, they're short of that lava. So the soles of your boots, as you pull yourself up, are steaming, and it feels as if your feet are encased in very hot leather. That's how close you came to it. So you grab.
Yeah, I fall back on my back first and just, and then just sort of crawl over to the body. And what I would like to do is, as I crawl over, think to myself for a moment, and I'm like, be careful about this. And I would like to take the book, but take it in such a way that no one can see me actually taking the book. They just see me like examining the body.
Gotcha. This body also looks like it is crumbling, but unlike the previous one, it looks like the skin is just starting to dry out and to pull up against the skeletal structure of the dragonborn. Are you going to continue to examine it? You are literally right next to it. You're within 5 feet.
Yeah, I would like to try and snake the book and also examine the person. What should I roll for those actions?
Well, no, you quite easily grab the book. It's not a particularly thick book, but it's definitely a book. You grab that off of the lectern. Because of the angle of the lectern, you could sort of slide it off and no one from the other side would see you doing that. Eventually, you grab that, you then look at the body as the skin is kind of tightening around the skull and the neck just disintegrates. And as it does, suddenly the whole thing just explodes. And bits of bone shrapnel out in all different directions. You need to give me a dexterity saving throw, please.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if this one shows up.
It did, and it's a 19. Yes. That is brilliant. So, and thankfully, these saving throws, it's you make it or you just take damage. There's no half damage, so you stay alive as this sort of bits of bone shards splinter around and crack around and that sort of thing. But yes, what remains are some very dirty old robes, as well as a rather curious pendant, which was obviously hanging around the creature's neck, and then several very, very sharp-looking obsidian stone daggers that had been tucked into the folds of the robe of this thing.
Okay, then I would like to pocket all of those things.
Right.
And then look up, and can I see there's the dragon is looming above us.
Yes.
Can I like look at this dragon? I just want to check it out, see if, because I've seen, obviously I saw the depiction of the dragon out there. Is this like the same dragon? What do I get about this dragon?
As you are looking at this dragon from the other side of the lava flow, you can hear Ispen and Becklin talking to this draconian in that guttural language. They obviously understand it. And your attention drifts back to this large carving of this dragon. Looking at it now, you can see that it looms over this whole space. In its hand, it clutches this globe, which looks as if it's got carvings of continents and things. And you can see under its claws the outline of Ansalon, the main continent that is in this hemisphere of the planet. And as its hands are holding the sphere, I would like you to give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okay. Okay, the good
21.
rolls. Yeah,
Good
will be
roll.
flowing in.
Absolutely good roll. So you are staring at this sphere, and then you kind of look back up at the head, and the head has been looking out towards the sacrificial ledge and the whirlpool of lava. You are momentarily distracted as a small trickle of blood starts to make its way out of your nose. You suddenly got a nosebleed, and it's that weird sensation of something warm kind of trickling over your lip, and you realize you have this bleed, and suddenly this really sharp headache. And the whole statue just looks down at you. And it says in a voice which you are not sure if it's outside and your ears are hearing it, or if it's inside your head and it's just in your mind. It says, Vergatorix.
I think I'm just like, is it still looking at me?
It is.
I say, who is Vergatorix?
As you say that, the face seems to stiffen or lose interest, and it looks back over at Ispin and Becklin. And as it's looking at Ispin, it says another word, which you can give me an insight check on, if you please. You have disadvantage, though, as it's in Draconian.
Okay, well, I rolled a natural 1, so it's not going to get any lower.
It's not going to get any worse. That's so very true. It says a word. You have no idea what it could possibly mean. But the word that it says is Trekerix. That's what it says as it sees Ispin. And then you watch as its legs rip themselves off of the stone base. And it looks as if this whole thing is about to throw itself. And this statue is 50 foot tall, and it's going to throw itself into the lava.
I shout, no, don't!
That's what you're shouting. Becklin is looking at this whole scene as it's playing out in terror. She doesn't know what's going on. Ispin is looking at this whole thing, and thank you, Dice, for failing me consistently. They don't know what to do. Cudgel is the last one left, and Cudgel has no idea what's going on. You're all watching as this gigantic statue is about to plunge itself into this lava pool in front of you. You're shouting, no, don't. You have one last reaction before it leaps. What are you doing?
Okay. In like looking at this this dragon, does it resemble like can I recognize like what kind of dragon it is?
Oh yes, this looks like a red dragon. Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm going to I think I'm going to run. Am I close enough to like touch part of the dragon?
You can. Just to give you context, this dragon probably weighs about 50 tons. It's a giant stone carved sort of structure.
Okay. I think instinctively upon seeing this red dragon about to throw itself into the lava, I run forward. If whatever part of it I can touch, I want to touch it or maybe grab it, and then whisper whisper like, no, you don't have to do it, you don't have to jump, don't do it, just wait, we can talk, wait, as I'm holding on to it.
Sure, that's what you're shouting at it. It looks at you, and as it's sort of moving forward, it simply says, die.
Oh.
And then it lunges. And this whole statue just smashes down into the lava and displaces a tidal wave of magma around it, which is now surging towards you and Becklin and Ispin and Cudgel as these waves are just coming straight at you. Ispin shouts, "Run!" Everybody is desperately running. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a little thing I like to call a skill challenge. So between you, Ispin, Becklin, and Cudgel, the four of you need to get 3 successes before 2 failures. This is a little trick from 4th edition, all right? So anyone can make the roll, but once you've made a roll, you can't make it again until everybody else has made a roll. You'll see how it plays out momentarily. So to get out of this space from one of you, and it can be anybody, you're going to roll for everybody, by the way.
Okay.
Jeremy, you're going to roll a d20, and then I'll tell you what to add. So as you start running, desperation kicks in. You looking around frantically, you can see further up the chamber that there is a large set of double doors that are smashed in and lying open just down here. And that might be an option. I need you to decide, one of the 4 of you, to give me a perception check.
Okay. Do I know what the other one's pluses are, or is it just...
So you think that Ispin is the one who's been seeing stuff the most. Becklin hasn't been too outward thinking or looking. She's been more inward reflective. Cudgel is just blind angry and is dragging the Draconian with her.
Okay, then I would go Ispin. Should I roll a d20?
Yes. So for Ispin, you go ahead and roll a d20.
Okay.
And for his perception... What did you get?
I got a natural 1.
And I was just checking that wasn't a previous natural 1 that you got.
I've rolled so many natural 1s in this session.
Oh my goodness. All right, so Ispin fails his check. That is your first failure. You cannot fail again. If you fail again, that's it. Well, the challenge is failed. All right, luckily Ispin also cannot be involved in the next check, so that's absolutely fine.
Oh my
Up
goodness.
next, I need a survival check.
Okay.
As you are trying to plot your course over this rapidly rising lava.
Okay. I have a +2 to survival. I'm gonna try it for me because I don't know what anybody else is good at. Oh wait, no. It would have to be. Oh, I can only make 1 check. Oh dang. Do I have any idea of who might be the best at navigating?
Dwarves are pretty good underground.
All right, we're gonna have Cudgel make this check. Come on, no whammies.
All right.
Please, Cudgel.
Cudgel desperately looks at the surround. Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness.
What is Cudgel's plus to survival here?
Cudgel's plus to survival is a +4, which drags that 8 to a 12, which is just enough to succeed. So as you are rushing forward, Cudgel shouts, "Stick to the edges. That's where you'll be the safest, you silly little creature." She's shouting that. You're not entirely sure to whom she is shouting that as you are all desperately running from this rising lava. So that is 1 success, 1 failure. 2 successes remain, 1 failure remains. It is only you or Becklin who may make a contribution, and that is going to be an acrobatics check because you just realized something rather nasty.
Okay, Becklin is injured and has not up to this point been the most agile. Is that a correct assessment?
That is absolutely correct. She's also wearing plate mail.
Yes. So we are going for an acrobatics check. I'm rolling. I'm gonna. Yeah. Is there any way that I can have I don't know if this is possible, but is there any way that I can have Oburo as he's sort of like gliding along, and I imagine sort of being lifted up by the sudden rush of warm air? Can he try and like give me indications of where to hop to try and give me the help action?
I like that.
Okay, then I will roll twice. I have a +3 to acrobatics. First one is a 14. Second one is 7.
The 14 is good. The 14 is good. That is your second success. 1 success remaining, 1 failure remaining. As the lava continues to expand towards you, it now consumes that lectern. It's spilled out over the whole of the area down here, just growing and growing and growing, cutting off sort of roots that you might have normally taken. And so the last check, which is to Becklin, well, it might be the one that saves the day. This would have to be, for Becklin, an athletics check to just push herself that little bit further. So go ahead, give me your athletic, or give me the D20 roll, and she adds 3 to this.
Come on, Becklin.
And it is an 8 plus 3 is an 11. Oh boy. So what happens? It's so close. It is so close. You are all dashing, running, gliding towards this doorway. And as you get there, as you are about to get to the doorway, you look down in terror as you realize you are literally about to run onto molten lava, because it's got to the doorway just ahead of you, sealing off your only option of escape. So the 3 are standing on the other side of this flow of lava, and they call out to you. Becklin says, I
have an idea. Can I try something?
Yes.
With your permission, I think as I look down and I see flame, like molten lava rushing up to meet me.
Yes.
Can I instinctively think to myself, I'm like, no, and breathe fire at the lava and propel myself with the sudden force of my breath onto the shore?
I think that's terrifying. There are a whole bunch of questions that raises. And you know what? I'm going to say, go ahead, give me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. That's a 9.
That's a 9. You leap, breathing brimstone and hellfire, screaming out anger and frustration at this lava. Flame brushes against the lava, which unfortunately doesn't do anything, because actually your flame is not as hot as the lava is. But that is neither here nor there. You leap with this terror and anger and hatred, and the last thing you see is Becklin with her hand reaching out towards you to try and catch you. And behind her, you see Ispin. He seems to be doing something with magic. And then the world fades to darkness. You smell this horrid burning sensation, though, that seems to fill your nostrils. You awaken several hours, days later. You're not sure, but you awaken. And you are in a rather cozy looking cabin. It's wooden in its nature. It looks as if it's human by the scale of things. And the door is pushed open, and this Kender woman comes bustling in. She looks you up and down. Oh, bloody brilliant. You're awake. Well, isn't that lovely? I'll go and tell them, shall I? Oh, by the way, is there anything that you'd like, dearie?
I'd like to, look around, where am I?
You realize that part of your head is covered in bandages. And
More.
give me a choice, left or right.
I think right side.
Your right hand is covered in a thick bandage and hurts. It feels as if it's been injected with fluid, like it's swollen and it's difficult to bend. Your left side seems a lot easier. Oh, bless. You don't even know where you are. Well, that's okay. You're safe. You're with friends now. You're actually in the little village of Vogler. I don't suppose you know where that is.
No.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Hey, never mind. I'll bring you something for the pain. Just you relax.
I guess as I like sort of sit back, my mind is like running through, and I'm like, the book, the pendant, the daggers, and I'm like, is there like a way to like sort of gingerly check the room, like moving very slowly side to side?
You do, and as you kind of look deeper into the room, you can very clearly see a rather neat pile of familiar-looking clothing. You realize that you're in a nightshirt of someone else's. On top of the pile, you can see the book has been neatly placed along with the pendant and the daggers. And on top of that is a Buru who, as a Buru sees you, goes... and its little wings jump out as it leaps towards you. It glides over the room, lands on the bed, and comes scurrying up to your face, where it seems to sort of nudge you lovingly.
I'm gonna just cradle Aburo as I'm like, we did it. We did it, little buddy. Great job. You were so good. What happened? What can you do you remember what happened?
With your link, you just remember, well, you see yourself leaping, breathing fire in all directions, and sort of landing half in the lava and half on the land, and then Becklin quickly pulling you out and then rushing through those double doors. And at that point, that it looks as if a Buru landed on you and then scurried inside a pocket because it kind of goes quite dark. But you do get the sense of panic that comes across that psychic link.
Oh. I think to myself, like, I think I immediately begin, I get a sinking feeling because I'm like, oh no, maybe I didn't do it. I wasn't able to escort them out. I failed to get them to safety. I'm thinking like I failed. I couldn't do it myself. I'm not even considering the fact that they probably got to safety anyway. It's like the fact that I wasn't the one that did it. It's like, oh no, I messed up, and feel terrible. I feel absolutely awful. Do I see my sword anywhere?
Yes, it's neatly leaning against that pile of clothing.
I would like to go over and look at my sword and try and sound out that word again and just be like trying to like think like this is the gift that this person gave me, the mage gave me, and I wasn't even able to use it.
Right. So go ahead and give me an intelligence check.
All right, here we go.
It is difficult to move, by the way. Oh,
a dirty 20.
Booyakasha.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't a natural 20. Oh, okay. You don't get that animation. Sorry. But a 20 is great nonetheless. So on the 20, you sound out the word, and the word is Ariadne. You have no idea what that means, but that's how you pronounce it, Ariadne. Do you say it out loud?
Yeah, I think I would. Ariadne.
All right.
As I'm like with some effort holding this sword.
Oh, wow. All right. You say Ariadne and you regain 9 hit points.
Oh, dang.
Yes. The pain in your arm is slightly less. Maybe it's because you're comfortable or because you've been sleeping, but it certainly seems slightly less.
I smile, and I'm like, well, maybe next time I got to study more languages. And I gingerly walk back to the bed and sit with my sword, in the bed with my sword and a burro in the bed with me, and wait for someone to come back.
All right. It's not too long before Ispin comes in and smiles at you.
Well, look who's awake and already grabbing that sword. Are you sure you're not trying to be a knight?
I look down and I say, I tried to join the knights and was rejected, and so I've been training to become a mage.
Well, if you ask me, you are a very competent mage and a valiant fighter, so perhaps you might one day be both. I'm not sure. Anyway, Becklin has tended to your wounds. She says that you should make a almost complete recovery. However, the fire has left its mark upon your skin. I'm told there are certain magicians or healers who might be able to remove that from you in the future, but we do not have the resources where we are. Now, Havlin sent you to us, and I have to say I am in his debt. I was skeptical when you first arrived, I won't deny that, but you certainly proved yourself in battle. If you should ever need assistance, you merely need to, well, find us somehow, and we'll provide it. We're very impressed. I shall watch your career with interest, young Kender. And now, unless there is anything else you wish to discuss, we will send you back to the mages.
If I may, sir, I did want to say thank you for your kind words, and I apologize that I was not able to complete my task of getting you to safety.
Don't be stupid. Of course you did. Who do you think saved us from those cages? If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have got out in the first place. If I have anything to say, is that I apologize for not catching you when you jumped and needed us the most. So, consider yourself to be owed a debt by all of us. Huh?
Oh, thank you. This is too much. I don't even know what to say. I did have one other question though.
Yes.
What was that ritual that they were doing? What was that dragon saying?
Well, the statue, I think, the first word that it said, Veragoriax or whatever it was.
Vergatorix.
Vergatorix. That's a name.
Oh.
I don't know whose or what's, but that's a name. Why it said it to you, I have no idea. The second is, well, let's just say that in some languages it might mean traitor, although I can't imagine what that might mean. I assume it was speaking to the draconian who had surrendered to us. That's the only thing that makes sense. As for the ritual, well, I think it was a ritual of empowerment. If it had been complete and poor Cudgel had been fed to the flames, I believe that the Draconians and the troops in the nearby area would all have received a blessing from an ancient god that's best left unmentioned. It is rather alarming if she is being active again. But I don't think you need to worry about that. Right now, you need to focus on getting better, and then perhaps making your own way. Yeah?
Wow. Thank you so much. This is more information than I had expected. I will definitely be looking into this. It was the greatest honor to meet and serve alongside you and Becklin and Cudgel, though I didn't really get to speak to Cudgel, but please pass on my words. It was a real honor and a pleasure.
It is heartwarming to know that there are folks like yourselves coming up in the ranks. It makes the future a bit brighter. But before we start crying over sentiment, young Kender, it is time for you to return.
Right. I'll let you go. Thank you. I will sit here and recover. Ow.
It is another 2 days, and the Kender woman keeps tending to you until eventually the bandages are able to be removed, and she does so as carefully and delicately as she can. Are you going to do anything during those 2 days of recovery?
Yes, I would like to read this book. And what I'm really interested in is not just like, oh, what's in the book? I also want to see if I can try and figure out a word or two based on like what I've heard and what I'm able to glean if there are any other novels or books or anything like that. I want to see if I can learn Draconic a little bit and try and understand what this book is. And hey, maybe there's like spells in there, because my spell book is still very limited. So anything else?
Yes.
I didn't say this up front, but my spell book is a spell book that I bought in desperation, but after getting rejected by the knights. It's called Minkum's Magic Guide for Beginner Mages, and I still have the starter pack of spells and cantrips in it. So anything else I can get in there is great.
And you also bought the fabulously helpful and handy deck of spell cards as well, I'm sure. That's retailed with the book. And,
yes.
Yeah,
get everything bundled. Get the whole bundle, the component pouch, all of it.
Absolutely. So the book is written in Draconic, but you can give me an Arcana check, if you please.
Okay. Let's do an Arcana check. Oh!
Those dice.
The good rolls continue.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So the Draconic throws you because the script is really dense, and just staring at it for a while, it starts to kind of cloud your vision. And there is definitely more than one incantation in this book. If you were to guess, this is probably a book of rituals rather than short burst cast magic. But yeah, that's kind of what you take away from it.
Okay. And I think the other thing that I would do is I'd try and check out this pendant, because I think the daggers, I would assume, at least at first, the daggers are lowest priority. Book is top priority. Once I spend like a day on the book and I'm like, nah, like we're going to come back to this. I want to check out the pendant and see what the deal is with
that.
The
pendant, unfortunately, does not appear to be magical in any way. It is a rather heavy brass cast pendant. It looks as if it's a signifier of rank or position, just because it's two dragon wings, and in the center of the dragon wings is a crude carving, again, of a red dragon's head. So it almost looks like a badge of honor or a something along those lines.
Okay.
And then the obsidian daggers are just daggers that are made out of obsidian.
Okay.
Kind of useful if you are going to be exploring lava caves, as obsidian does not melt, at least not easily.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, I think with all of this information, as I plan to head back, I intend to not only try and get some Elvish lessons, but some Draconic lessons if possible. And also the fact that it's a red dragon that keeps showing up throughout this place, including on the pendant, I think that sticks out to Finnegan. And I'm really interested in trying to find out more about like any famous red dragons or anything like that.
Gotcha. Not a problem. As the last bandages come off, you look at your right hand and you can see that your skin has been quite badly burned, and is this angry red and white streaks or pinkish streaks kind of are showing through where it got burned. The Kender woman looks at you and she says,
I do believe that you could probably get those removed or healed up if you go to a temple. I'm afraid even Mistress Becklin's limited healing, as well as mine, is
it's
Sorry.
okay. No, it's okay. It's absolutely fine. I hold it up and I say, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to have anything done about it, but I view it as a badge of honor. It's a war wound, my first war wound. Well, not my first. I moved my shoulder like, ow. But the biggest.
Well, it's quite the story, certainly, to be sure. There is a message arrived for you by messenger whilst you were asleep last night. I didn't think it wise to wake you. It is addressed to you, and she hands you the scroll that has the seal of the Mages of High Sorcery upon it.
I open that scroll excitedly, with a burro like on my shoulder, like, check this out, buddy. As I'm like opening it up.
As you look at it, you realize it's a spell, and just one that needs to be read out aloud.
I read it.
Okay. As you finish it, give me an Arcana check.
All right. Hey, we're back to the good rolls.
It is some kind of teleportation, and as you go, oh, it's teleport. You vanish and appear in your nightshirt with your equipment piled around nearby, and Buru on your shoulder in the High Mage's study, back in that giant library. He's sitting looking at his desk. He looks up. Oh, it's you.
Hello?
Right. Well,
Apologies for my indecency. I immediately start trying to put like pants on, just hurriedly.
why are you trying to hide your robe?
What?
You're already wearing your white robe. Why are you trying to hide it? Usually it takes years to get one of those.
The nightshirt?
Oh, he says, and he again carves that magic into the air, and the magnifying glass appears. Why are you wearing a nightshirt for blazes? You're a mage of the white robes. You should have more decorum than that.
I'm sorry. Do you have me confused for someone else? I'm Finnegan Abefele. You had sent me in order to help with Master Ispin and Becklin and Cudgel.
Yes. I have their letter of recommendation here, he says, holding up this parchment. They said you performed wonderfully, although they did comment that perhaps you might work on your draconic. But they have a glowing report. Valiant self-sacrifice, somewhat unorthodox but effective use of magic, and then some nonsense about perhaps the Knights of Solamnia have lost a valuable potential candidate. It's all here in the document. Yes, well done. You're a mage of the white robes. Now, there was something else. Oh, I've forgotten now.
Was it? I'm trying to think of a way to jog his memory. I'm like, start looking through my spells. Find familiar. Oh no, that's not it. Yes, that name. So I'm trying to think through, like, how can I jog his memory? This is so important. I'll use prestidigitation to like create a calming, like, atmospheric sound, just like a oh around him, because I'm desperate to get this last bit of knowledge that he has.
Bells? Are you hearing bells, or is it just me again?
It's I hold up my spell cards. It was sorry, I'm just trying to help you remember. I put the cards away.
What is it that I'm supposed to remember? Out with it, boy!
You said that there was another thing. You mentioned that you said you had the letter of recommendation. You said that they thought I was excellent but unorthodox, and that perhaps the Knights of Solamnia had lost a valuable member. You had said that I have been officially appointed a mage of the white robes. And then you said there was another thing that you couldn't remember what it was. Also, that I need to work on my draconic.
Oh, yes. No, it's gone. It'll come to me, I'm sure. Right, well, you need to now go and report to Master Savari. He will have your official papers and all of that sort of thing. I do hope you're not too upset with me.
For what?
Well, for fast-tracking you and sending you to old Ispin, he can be a little bit odd at times.
Oh, no, he seemed extremely normal. They all did. Pretty par for the course, really. Granted, I've never been on the course
before.
Back. Like, no, I mean, very strange, bizarre, even unsettling.
Deeply
unsettling.
Yes, Ispin. Yes, bizarre. Yeah, right. Now, off you go, young lady. I have many things to attend to.
Yes, it's been a real pleasure doing business. Before I go, if I may, what is thy name?
You don't know my name?
No, they just referred to you as the mage, the high mage that I was supposed to speak to.
Yeah, you don't know my name?
No one told me. You didn't introduce yourself, and no one else they just said we had to show up here, and then you said...
But if you don't know my name, then how the hell am I supposed to remember it? Ah! Off you go.
Okay. I grab my stuff hurriedly and just run out of the room, looking at Aburo like, I don't know. Everyone here is bizarre. Why is Ispin the only normal person I've met? As I like run out of the room.
And with that, we come to the end of tonight's shenanigans. The adventure concludes with our second white-robed mage. Yes, there you go. So, Finnegan, are you happy with the white robes?
I think Finnegan would have been happy no matter what. And right. I think he was just desperate. He is desperate to get into this war. And so I think the fact that he was fast tracked is like, yes. And the fact that he was given like, I don't know what the public perception of the white robes is, but I think he sees it as like, yes, we are bringing a sense of like, we're bringing light to the people. We're going to lead people forward like a burning flame out of the darkness. I think that's like how he thinks of it. And so he's hyped.
He's not far wrong. That's absolutely awesome. So, Jeremy, big thank you to you for playing this evening. And I look forward to the whole group getting together. I think it's going to be chaotic and wonderful. And so thank you once again. Thank you to all of you for tuning in and watching and your interesting chats going on. One point that was raised, aren't Kender fearless? Don't they get a bonus against fear effects? Yes, they do, but that's from an external source. An internal source of fear, I don't think that they would have any kind of protection. And I don't think Kender are internally fearless. I think they're immune to being externally. So just on that point, that's my personal opinion there. We took some liberties with Unseen Servant. I think that they were in the spirit of things.
Yeah, they were great liberties.
Yeah. Anyway, until next week when another one of my players joins me, same time, same channel, I wish you and yours the very happiest of festive seasons. If this is the time for you to celebrate, then I wish that you have an awesome one. And until next week, goodbye.